From the studios of Foxboro Cable Access, located in the center of Foxboro, Massachusetts, you are watching Around Foxboro.
Welcome to another episode of Around Foxboro. My name is Julie Love. I'm your host today. Very excited to have a special guest from actually Foxboro. There's a wonderful campground. It's called Normandy Farms. I'm sure some of you may have camped there, but we have a wonderful guest, and her name is Marsha Galvin. Marsha, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, Jury. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So please tell us your title at the Normandy Farms and what you do.
So I'm the Human Resource Director at Normandy Farms Campground, but I'm also one of the family members. My father, Al Daniels, is one of the owners of the campground. So I am one of the 8th generation.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So the 8th generation means they have first and second.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about how did it start, first generation, what's the history? And I had actually a privilege to write an article about 260th anniversary. So what happened 260 years ago?
So our ancestor, Francois Daniels, came over from Normandy, France. He was in the French army back in the 1750s, 40s, and he had taken sick and was going to go back to France. And during his venture back in the ship, his ship was captured and he was brought to Massachusetts. And he was held as a slave. He worked for a gentleman in Wrentham then, and they paid him in some small wages, which he eventually bought Normandy Farms for 53 shillings back in 1759. So it was just a 1-acre small parcel of land where today we've grown to 100 acres in Foxboro. So an interesting fact, though, is Francis Daniels was one of the first Foxboro residents, or it wasn't even Foxboro at the time. It was a combination of Wrentham, Walpole, and Stoughton before Foxboro was here. And he signed the legislation that went to the State House to designate some of that land to be incorporated as Foxboro. So one of our ancestors was one of the founding members of Foxboro. And West Street, where we are, Normandy Farms is located, was the first public access road in Foxboro.
Wow, that's interesting history.
Yeah.
That is wonderful. So second and third, what happened? So I know that it was a small 1 acre.
Right.
But then how did it jump from 1 acre to the 100 acres? Well, it's 260 years, but what happened in between?
Sure. So once he established himself here in Foxboro, he began farming. That's what they did. So generation after generation, they farmed the land, dairy, chickens, sheep. The homestead actually is still lived in by Scott Daniels. He is one of the 7th generations of Daniels. And he lives across the street and has the tree farm. So we're still farming. And Scott's father started the tree farm, and his brother, Norman, who was my grandfather, had the farm across the street. And it was years upon years after years of farming when my father was a child growing up on the farm and decided really that farming wasn't the way to go. Back in the 60s, it really started to become something that the land was becoming more popular for building other things than farming. It was really just becoming too expensive to farm. And he wrote a business plan to develop a campground. And that was in 1971. And to back up a little bit, I grew up at the campground. So prior to when it was a campground, I had a pet sheep that lived with us, and we had chickens and snowmobiles. So it was really still an active farm right back up until the 70s.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when 70s, the campground happened.
Right.
So what happened from the farm to campground, and how big was the campground? Like maybe 50 acres, like 30 acres, like what happened?
Good question. So the campground started off very small and continued to grow. So it was really when my father decided that he wanted to start a campground is when he purchased more land. So we started with just 25 campsites on the very small piece of property, and over time they've built up to 100 acres, and we have 400 campsites. So it's over time it's slowly become a campground. And when we first started, we have just the White House that's on the property, and that's where we lived. We have an outdoor pool that's right behind it. That was our home pool, and that became the first campground pool. So over time, it just sort of morphed into our backyard became a campground. And the more that it got built up around the town, we were in a great location. You know, we're right on Route 1. 495 is close by, 95 is close by. And if you think about it, we've been here since, 1759. And how lucky are we that we have Gillette Stadium, the Rentham Outlets, Plain Ridge Casino, all of the infrastructure and the highways and things. We're just so lucky to be in such a great location, so close to Boston.
Yes, wonderful. Well, speaking of the history a little bit,
yeah.
I know Jack Othlet, our town historian, kind of mentioned in my article about the relationship with your families. Can you please tell us about it?
Well, growing up, our families growing up in a small town of Foxboro, everybody knew each other. And my family has done some service in Foxboro, and they got to know the Othlet family and a lot of other great families in Foxboro. So they became personal friends. My father and Jack Othlet and the family. We had our Aunt Laura lived in in Rentham in the nursing home, and he was very involved with her as well. She was a writer and documented a lot of the history for the Daniels family, and Jack went to her and found a lot of the information, as well as our family too. So, he's interested in history, and we have a lot of it, and it's really nice for us to be able to uncover a lot of that as well.
Yeah, and then when I interviewed Jack for the article that I wrote about 260th anniversary, he really mentioned that such a rich history in Daniels and in Normandy farms that are right in our town. That's very intriguing. Yes. So. How would you describe to people who doesn't know about the generations of history that it's kept in Foxboro?
Well, with the land being in the family, and then turning it from farming to campground, it was difficult because it was my father and my aunt and my uncle that were running the business from the ground up. And all the family members had to just jump in and do whatever they could. So it was really just kind of a grassroots effort to start a business. And just by having our family members working in the business, it sort of brought in other family members, and the business would grow. And my dad was also involved in the pool business. He worked with his cousin in Star Pools, and he would go and put in pools, and then that's how we got our pools. So it was a lot of in the town give and take. You'd know your neighbor, and they'd offer a service, and vice versa. So back in the day when it was getting going, it was all family, and it was all who you knew in the town that you could help and that could help you.
Yeah. So now, as an HR director, can you tell us how many employees you have, and how big is it right now? Right.
So we did start off, like I said, with just the family starting off to work, and now we had 145 employees this past season.
Wow.
During the summer. We employ quite a few Foxboro high school, college kids. We have teachers, anyone that is looking for a nice seasonal fun job, that's what we employ.
So it's like a seasonal, like a summertime job mostly?
Yeah, so the campground is open from April 1st to December 1st. We start off our shoulder season in April, basically busy on weekends and April school vacation. But as soon as school gets out, that's when we're busy every day. With the amenities that we have at the campground, we do provide our guests with very clean amenities. Cleanliness is one of the reasons why guests will continue to come back to our park, because we do make sure that our restrooms are cleaner than mine at home. That is definitely one thing that we make sure is done.
Wonderful. And then I know maybe you have a track record of which state that you have guests from. How far do you think people are coming from, to Foxboro?
Yeah, we're a destination campground, which means families will come and stay with us for the weekend or for a week, and they'll go and visit the Gillette Stadium and Patriots Place. Oh. But they'll say most of them come just to visit Normandy Farms. There's enough to do for them to come, and with everybody's schedules so busy with children. We have a lot of local people that will come and camp with us and then leave to go bring, Joey to soccer and then come back and have a campfire. So we do see quite a few of our guests coming just from the local area, right from New England.
How about how far, like, who's the farthest guest that you had maybe hosted, like, internationally, or? Like,
well, we've hosted international and national folks traveling across the country to see Boston, because we're the closest campground to Boston. So guests will come in, they'll stay with us, and then they'll go to Boston, see the sights, and then come back to the campground to stay. So we've had them all over. This time of year, we get a lot of folks that want to see the leaves. They'll come across country in their caravans. There'll be groups of them coming through, and they'll come stay at the campground. They'll organize dinners, tours. We'll have the trolley service come and pick them up and take them into Boston, and so we have a lot of options for people who want to sightsee when they're camping here with us.
Right.
And we have the Gillette Stadium train that's going to be starting this month. So that's going to be a great option to give our guests.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when I went to see the Normandy farms, which I had no idea it was so huge, and then there is parts of here, parts of here. Can you kind of give a sense of what is in the 100 acres?
Sure. So our 100-acre woods basically is a small town where we have pretty much everything that you need. So when you enter the park, we have our reception center,
Sure.
and that is where you can make reservations. You check in. There's a gift shop. We're going to be doing some renovating of that coming up in December and making it more modern and beautiful, basically. We have 4 swimming pools at the campground. 2 are heated, and 1 indoor and 1 outdoor. And then we have 2 outdoor pools as well. So we have a lot of swimming opportunities for guests if they want to come and do that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So why don't we watch the video that you have? It's a promotional video of Normandy Farms.
Yes.
And then, so what can audience expect from this video? Like, what are in the video that we're going to watch?
So you're going to see you're going to see our reception center, and then you'll come up to our recreation building. Our recreation building is 20,000 square foot lodge. It has 3 levels. The basement is where our indoor heated pool, hot tubs, sauna, fitness center. We have a creative arts center down there where we host yoga, Zumba, pound. So that bottom floor is basically a wellness retreat. And on the main floor, we have our main area where we have like our dances, magicians, any kind of activity that we would have most of the folks in the park come in and enjoy something indoors. It's air conditioned, it's heated. And then the 3rd floor, we have an adult loft. The adult loft is like a living room area for adults only. A lot of families will come to the campground with their kids, but they also want to get away a little bit. So we have an area for them to go. They can play puzzles, games, there's a fireplace. We hold many activities in there, like happy hour, which is bring your own BYOB, but we provide the entertainment. We have tea time, bunco, Texas Hold'em. There's a lot of activities that our recreation team holds up in the adult loft for them.
That sounds so much fun. So let's watch the video now. Wow, that was fantastic video. Really captured all the parts of Normandy Farms, how beautiful it is, and then how well kept it is. And it's very exciting that people can get to have this experience. And then I know that when I interviewed some of your family members that are 8th and then 9th generation right now.
Yes.
So who are the direct families of Daniels right now that are working, including yourself? Who are those people right now?
Wow, if I have to name them, if I forget somebody, I apologize right away. But we have this, like I said, the 7th, 8th, and 9th generation working the property. So the 8th generation would be like my parents, my aunt, and my uncle. And then the 8th generation would be myself and my sister right now. And then underneath, the 9th generation would be my children and my cousin Andrea's children that work at the campground. And they're anywhere from high school right up through college. So all of the kids, all of us have worked in the park at some capacity, whether we've decided that's what we wanted to do for our career or not. In fact, I was an elementary school teacher for 9 years in Westwood. I taught 5th grade, and it was a perfect match with the campground because I was off in the summertime, and then I just decided that the campground really was where I wanted to spend my time. So I left teaching, and my sister as well. She had a career in marketing, and she left her career and came back to the park as well. So we're looking for our family members. We're not forcing them, but we would like them to be able to keep the legacy of the park living on, and keep expanding and making it a great place for people to come.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I know you have lots of events, and I know you brought some brochures. So what's happening at Normandy Farms right now?
Well, what isn't happening at Normandy Farms? We just finished a food truck festival weekend, which we have 6 of them over the course of the year. And that's a lot of fun where we bring in food trucks and we have entertainment and a bonfire. And the campers can just enjoy cornhole and things like that. So we've got those fun weekends coming up, and Halloween is also coming up, and that's extremely popular, where we trick-or-treat and we have a haunted walk through the woods. And a lot of the activities that we have at the campground, those are some of the things coming up, but we raise money for the Jimmy Fund. And the Jimmy Fund is a Boston-based charity that supports children with cancer and their families. And we've been fortunate enough since 1983, my mother Doris started that fund as our charity of choice, and we've contributed over $383,000 just by events that we do at the campground, like the Haunted Walk, where we charge the guest a minimal amount of money, but the proceeds go to the Jimmy Fund. So we have a lot of those activities throughout the year that, we enjoy, making our work mean something for other people as well.
Yeah, and speaking of the foundation part of it, I know that you have scholarship as well.
Yes, so my grandparents, Norman and Jeanette Daniels, had passed away, and there's been a scholarship established in their name at Foxboro High School, the Normandy Farms Campground. And then there's also one for my brother, Mark Daniels, who also passed away suddenly. And there's a scholarship in his name for a Foxboro High School student as well. So
how can they apply as a Foxboro High School students, and what kind of major that they have to pursue for this scholarship? Sure.
Norman and Jeanette, we look for the hospitality industry. So if you're looking as a career in the hospitality industry as a senior in Foxboro, the guidance officers have all of our information. And Mark was an artist, and so anybody who's interested in graphic arts, design, that's who we're looking for to give the Mark Daniels Scholarship to.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So what else is going on in here?
So we've got Columbus Day coming up.
Yes.
And we have a lot of activities for Columbus Day outdoors. We do a 5K fun run, which is more of a walk than a run around the park, but a lot of outdoor activities, getting folks to, put down their phones, put down the electronic devices, go outside, go for a scavenger hunt. We have organized scavenger hunts. We'll have a polka walk, where the guests will walk around the park and pick up a card from a team member, and so it gets them out into the property. So we've got a lot of fall fun things planned until we close December 1st.
I see.
Yes.
But during the summer, you're packed, you're booked.
We are. So we have, one exciting thing that we're doing coming up. We have a big recreation field which houses our bike park. On the video you saw our bike park, our 2-acre dog park. We're also building an RC, a remote control track, that's going to be 60 by 80, and it's going to have all the jumps and tunnels so that the kids can come and play, with their remote control cars.
Wow.
We put a survey out to every guest that leaves the park and asks them, what did they like about Normandy Farms? What brought them to Normandy Farms?
Sure.
And what will keep them coming back? And the managers, we take those lists and we look over the surveys and really implement, new things that the guests want to see. And an RC track was right up there. So that'll be done for the family next year, or the families next year.
Cool. I know when I interviewed that you mentioned, some of the family member mentioned that they come generations after generation, and then you make friends, and then you see the kids, and then the mother, and then all that generation stuff. How fun is that?
It is so much fun. It's so amazing that we have so many couples that either are engaged or married and have children that met at Normandy Farms.
What?
In fact, my daughter and my to-be son-in-law are getting married at the campground next fall, and they met at Normandy Farms. So there's so many people that we bring in from different areas. And as a child growing up, it was the best experience because I got to meet people from all over the country and make friendships that have stayed with me over the years. So kids that grew up with me at the campground are now adults with children and grandchildren, and they're still coming back. So, we've had 30, 40, 50 years worth of generations returning with their children, which is very nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So do you have a website that people can book or find more information?
Yeah, normandyfarms.com is the website, and you can book online reservations, or you can call anytime to book a reservation. We do book out a year and a half in advance. So we recommend as soon as if you'd like to go camping, give us a call.
Wow.
But if you don't have your own RV, we do have rentals available. So we have, if you'd like the full glamping experience, we have yurts and cabins. And they're just like hotel rooms inside. You saw some in the video.
Okay.
They have air conditioning, heat, fireplace, full bathroom in their shower. So just everything you would have in a hotel, but you would walk out to a campfire and on a nice deck.
Wow.
But if you want a little bit more rustic, we have safari tents and pop-ups, and that's really just an elevated camping experience. But it does have a queen-size bed, a refrigerator, microwave, heat. So you're really glamping if you want to choose one of those. So you can either bring your own tent and have no water or electric hookup, or you could glamp in one of our units, or anything in between.
Wonderful. So how about food? How do they get food, and then they cook on the campground, or what are the choices?
Yeah, so we have Camper's Kitchen, which is an open-air snack bar right on property, and they're open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They provide anything that you would like for food, from ice cream, fried dough, to scallops and steak tips. They'll have everything on their menu, and their food is absolutely delicious. So a guest can go up and order food, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and eat out there, or they can have it delivered to their site. We do offer delivery. So you can give the kitchen a call and place your order, pay with a credit card, and they'll bring it right to your camper.
Wonderful. So did you win some award, travel choice, the camp? Can you tell us about the award?
Yeah, so we have had the pleasure of winning some awards, which is wonderful because that shows that, our team really puts a lot of dedication into the park. We've been named National RV Park of the Year 4 times from the National Association of RV Parks and Campgrounds.
National, not Foxboro,
national,
not Massachusetts,
exactly,
right? National.
Right.
That's amazing.
And we've also been, Yankee Magazine named us RV's Luxury Resort. And we're actually in a contest right now for Reader's Choice, 2019 Reader's Choice for Best RV Luxury Park in the country. And we're one of 10, and currently we're in second place, and voting is going on now. So we're right behind a motor coach luxury resort in California. So we're hoping that we can pull one out for Foxboro and win this Reader's Choice Award.
So how can audience vote for you?
They can look on our Normandy Farms Facebook page, look up Normandy Farms, and there is a link right there to vote, and you can vote once a day up until the end of October.
Wonderful.
So, yeah.
Great. So we are running out of time. Is there anything that you want to say to our audience about Normandy Farms? Any last word that people should check out? I know we are in Foxboro, and I know it's really kind of close to
Right.
camp, but it's kind of fun maybe from as a Foxboro resident as well. But all the people that comes from all over the states or maybe internationally, like what do you think the people? I know like so many families have come, but for a people who has never visited Normandy Farms, what do you think?
Well, if someone would like to come and either experience just a break from the everyday, our lives are so busy these days that camping is actually a great way to get back to nature and kind of just take a deep breath, and we all need that. And so just a little acreage, a few acres here in Foxboro, we can provide that service for you. And we look forward to anybody who wants to sightsee in the area, anyone who wants to visit the Foxboro residents, at the Foxboro businesses and, have some dinner or go into Boston and take the train. We have the place for you to stay, and we open up this whole area in the area of Foxboro for you to explore.
Wonderful. So I'll give you one more last word to the audience. So we have Marsha Galvin from Normandy Farms. She's our HR director, and it's such a pleasure to have you on our show.
Well, thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here, Jerry. I enjoy telling you about Normandy Farms, but I think the best way for anyone who hasn't had a chance to experience Normandy Farms is to come give us a try. Come give us a visit and see what some tranquility can do in Foxboro for you.
Sure. So as a Foxboro resident, is there anything maybe I can book a tour or something to check it out before we book? Or
Anyone can come to the park and ask for a pass to go see the park.
Oh.
You're more than welcome to come in and look around. If you would like to visit the park and use facilities, you do have to be camping or visiting somebody who's there.
I see.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. And
Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, thank you everyone for watching Around Foxboro. We have more episodes coming up with wonderful guests. I want to thank Paul Beck as our director, and Michael Weber as our executive director, Lauren Bitar, and today we have Alan Eisner and Satko Saito and Teddy Jarrett, and then Margaret Nash. We are at fcatv.org, and if you missed the episode, you can go to fcatv.org and a video on demand to watch this episode again. Thank you.